Hello, everybody, and welcome to Area Nerdy One. I am Jimmy.
And I am Jarrett, and we are live from the bunker underneath Area Nerdy 1 compound.
I thought we are Area Nerdy One compound. We're under the Area 51 compound.
No, I keep telling you this. We're adjacent to the Area 51 compound, and only the west wing of the No, we're underneath. Ugh. We are adjacent to Area 51. Only the west wing of our Area 51 is technically under Area Nerdy 1.
Got it. Okay.
Kind of.
Either way,
There's a lot of areas in this.
we're
area.
out. We're out in the desert next to Area 51. That's all you need to know.
And underground.
Yeah. So, it's still spooky season
It's
here
our last spooky season episode of the year.
because it's Halloween. Holla.
We do talk a lot about nerdy stuff, so we do kind of talk about spooky stuff all the time, but there's a special kind of magic now in Halloween time.
I know it's my second favorite holiday.
What's your first?
Christmas, obviously. But
Really?
it's my second favorite holiday. But like I like them both for very different reasons. They both bring out nostalgia, but very different kinds of nostalgia.
So, I don't really have a fondness for Christmas. I don't like it that much. I think it's overdone a little bit, and especially with the commercialization, everyone loves it. Blah blah blah.
Way too commercial.
Way too commercial. My girlfriend doesn't really like Christmas either. So I decided to look into it, and it turns out a lot of the actual traditional stuff for Christmas, it's just Halloween in winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think they have fucking Krampus?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've listened to a few podcasts, and apparently like that culture, like that Alpine culture, where the Krampus and stuff originates from like Central Europe, and Alpine culture has a lot of like spirits and ghouls and goblins associated with the time of year.
So my mom and I really like ghost stories, especially watching older ghost stories. And I always wondered, while they're talking about the song, what is it, Christmas time, or telling scary ghost stories and tales of the glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like telling scary ghost stories, that's not something you think about when it comes to Christmas, right?
There's the Christmas Carol.
There's the Christmas Carol, but other than that, what's a scary Christmas movie?
Exactly. Recently they've come out with
recently,
scary,
yeah. But we found that the British actually have like a tradition like of shows, like little TV snippets of having ghost stories during Christmas time. Not even having anything to do with Christmas. It's just like part of the thing is telling ghost stories at Christmas time.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So we're kind of gonna do that. So we're gonna have kind of Christmas is just gonna be Halloween Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, but in a good way, I'm guessing.
Obviously in a good way. But you know what? Every single time we go right into like the commercial break, I always go, you know what?
What,
Hey.
Jarrett? What do I know?
Sit down. Take a load off. 'Cause
Hey
I'm
there,
gonna
champ.
I'm gonna go into
Have
it.
we talked recently?
My body's been changing, and I'm just confused. Never mind. It gets up and leaves. Well, the thing is, I've gotten back into from drinking tea. I'm going back into drinking some nice black dark coffee,
Like an adult.
like an adult, unseasoned, raw.
just bean water. Yep. You pour it out and it just sits in a cone on the plate.
I have to eat it. I have to drink it with a spoon, like a slushy. It's so thick. But I usually like Elder Bean, from Big Nerd Coffee Company. But lately, I've been getting As Black as Your Soul and Tavern House Blend.
Tavern House Blend.
It's
Okay.
kind of like their breakfast blend. I really like it. It's very good. So yeah, you can order those online, and it's just great brewed right in the store.
Look for that logo down there.
Down.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah. It's a
Down
reverse.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there it
reverse.
is.
Right there. And of course, this year, they're doing again their fall dinner and evening chill dinners. Their next dates are going to be on November 4th and 18th, where they're going to be having fresh baked rolls, amongst other things, in their entrees. Fresh, you get one or two choices: pork roast, or get this, fall ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Yes. So if you guys are looking for something to do this fall, maybe you can't go home for the holidays. go to Big Nerd Coffee Company, have a chill little day, have some good food, and have some fun.
And tell some scary ghost stories.
Tell some scary ghost stories and tales of the glories.
So, that sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah. So we actually they are limited at this point. So get those tickets soon.
Yeah.
And get your spots, because if you don't, we will.
It almost makes me sad that I actually have a place to be on Christmas. So
Fall Ratatouille. I don't think I've ever had Ratatouille.
no. I've only seen it in the movies. Like it looks like it's basically like cooked vegetables, right?
It's like vegetables. I thought it was like pepperoni at first, but it's,
Oh, that's a lie. I've had ratatouille grilled cheese.
that doesn't count.
So back when me and my wife and we were still dating, I was courting her. I decided to impress her by creating like gourmet grilled cheese, and it was a triumph. And I looked online. The recipe I chose was ratatouille grilled cheese,
Okay.
which is basically just grilled cheese and you put ratatouille in it. But I added like a bunch of other stuff that made it like gourmet.
Gourmet. Like there was a little rat on your head.
Yeah. There was a little rat on a giant conical hat, and like
Yeah.
directing me every way. Yeah. So
There's been a lot of Ratatouille couples costumes this year. I'm seeing a lot.
I did see one where it's like, Superman and Supergirl, and they're like, "You're the Superman to my Supergirl," and they're kissing, and someone's like, they're cousins, right?
Yeah. And he's like 30 and she's like 18.
Yeah. So obviously that person was not a true fan.
I like how people have like really strong opinions on stuff and like will dress up as stuff about things they have not seen or read about. But anyway, we're getting back into it.
Let's talk. Okay, so we got some stuff later, but I want to start with like the newest stuff first. So, but I wanted to kind of talk. We didn't get to it last time. I want to talk about the new spooky, scary games that are coming out.
Spooky, scary games. Oh no!
Let's start off with the spookiest, scariest one. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is getting a video game. 40 years ish after it came out.
It's like one of the best known cult classic horror movies.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's like the world's most known open secret about cult classics. So
yeah.
And for the uninitiated, Killer Clowns from Outer Space was a 1980-something movie about exactly what the title says. They were killer clowns from outer space. It's like goofy enough to be watchable, but also like very creepy and very scary in some points.
For a low-budget horror movie, it honestly went harder than it needed to be, and the practical effects are outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a fear of clowns, or even are mildly discomforted by them, you're not gonna have a good time. I hate this movie. I hate this movie so much.
Matt would have that.
Yeah.
He little story time, because he's not here to defend himself. We took him to a haunted house one year locally. And, it's like different rooms and they're all different themes, and he is mortified of clowns. Like, he cannot deal with them. So of course, he's like, each room he's like, there's no clowns in there, right? And we have to check and be like, it's clear. And of course, there's no clowns in there. We look, and it's like an entire like carnival circus clown themed one.
Nope.
We're like, there's no clowns in there. So of course we get him up there, push him in. He's like, and like he's still frozen when we're walking in, and then finally he gets movement back in his limbs, and literally like shoves us aside as he sprints to the other end.
Yeah.
And he's still upset about that.
He's kind of like Dr. Frankenstein when he gets put in the room with the monster. All right,
let me out, you. I was joking. So, a little slight spoiler if you haven't seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This is like one of the scariest parts I've ever seen in it. So, this part, basically, like the clown gets arrested by the cop that's like not having it. And he's like, these kids need to stop calling in and joking around. And then he books a clown thinking it's a prankster, and it kills him and turns him into a ventriloquist dummy.
For some reason, certain 80s movies do this really well with these really bad concepts, like a killer clown from outer space.
Yeah.
Who would take that seriously? But these really dark moments, they do it perfectly.
Yeah,
the lighting and everything.
So, like, up to this point, there was like a good balance of, like you say, levity and horror, because like the clowns are like abducting people and it's super scary, but they also have like gags and stuff. Like their attacks and their weapons are clown gag based, so there's a lot of humor interjected there. This point is just like straight up sinister. And it's like, okay, it's not funny anymore, basically.
Yeah. I think like at this point, it's been a while since I've seen this movie because I hate this movie, so I'm not gonna watch it. But I think this is the point where we see actual like blood,
Yeah.
like genuine blood in the movie, and it's a really good scene just for lighting.
Yeah.
And like, oh,
Or like the guy's like walking in and he sees clown footprints and paint on the floor, and then he opens the door and the footprints are like all over the room, like
Yeah.
on the ceiling, on the like it's they set it up so well. Sorry, geez.
yeah.
So as for what the Killer Clowns game is going to be like, I haven't really looked into it that much. I think it's still kind of in the early phases, but it looks like obviously a survival style game.
So this is going to be a hot take, but I really don't like a lot of the games that are coming out now. They're basically just like Fortnite, you know.
Mhm.
Get four of your friends and go through a game that costs like $40 that you can't play on your own.
$60 when it first comes out.
$60 when it first comes
You
out.
gotta wait a year before it goes down to $40.
And then you're like, can I play this on my own? Sure. Can I play it like and be good at it? No.
Yeah.
Obviously. You know, I mean, it's really cool to be able to play with your friends and stuff because everyone and their mom was like, I want to play Skyrim with my friends, you know?
Well,
But
you can't play Skyrim with your friends.
you can't play Skyrim with your friends. And then these games come out, you can only play them with your friends. So like if you don't get three people together, then you're just kind of fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of cool with like gimmicks like Left 4 Dead. That was kind of cool, but like it wasn't most games, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like this is in the beta stage right now.
Do you think Killer Clowns from Outer Space is gonna get a really bad sequel in the next coming year?
I don't know. I'd like to see a sequel, but I'd like to see it from one of the smaller studios.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
just give them like $4 million and look at the director right in their face and say, "Do what you want, don't fuck it up."
Yeah.
and then bounce.
yeah, that's what I would do.
The Area Nerdy One Studios just grab a director, give them a pile of money, and say, "Don't fuck it up," and then just leave.
Just like, okay, if this works, I'll make you a king. If you fail, you'll never work in this town again. See ya.
No pressure.
So, okay.
I mean, to be fair, I know Barbarian is supposed to be genuinely incredible.
Is that a movie or a game?
It's a movie, and they had like a really low budget. Too.
I want to circle back to this because this reminds me of a TikTok response I want to do. But
Okay.
Moving on with games, one that actually I think looks kind of cool. I want to is it's called Killer Frequency.
Okay.
So the premise of this game is that you are in a radio studio. You're like the DJ as people are calling in, and the people are like calling in, and there's a serial killer on the loose out in the studio. So you get like clues and stuff from people calling in and like telling you like all about the information, and you have to survive the serial killer. So it looks a little bit like Five Nights at Freddy's meets I don't know what else with it.
Five Nights at Freddy's meets Disc Jockey.
Yeah. So like this, I think I've seen this premise in horror movies before, where like at least one of the characters is either in a situation like they're I remember it's a radio DJ and like he's getting calls about a zombie apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I've seen this premise before, but it'll be interesting to see it play out as a game.
Yeah.
'Cause this looks like it would be a very good kind of cool indie game.
Yeah, and I feel like if they were gonna make more movies based off of video games, indie games have some of the best storylines ever.
Yeah.
They just need the budget for like animation. Like clearly this is still in the beta.
Right.
But that sounds like a cool premise.
Yeah. I want to say speaking of cool premises, but I don't really even know what the premise of this game is.
Okay.
Another scary game coming out is Scorn.
Is that the one with all the body horror?
Yeah, it's as you can see, very H.R. Geiger inspired.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of kind of like the Call of Cthulhu game a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, I haven't been able to find a lot of information about like what the story of this is going to be, or even like entirely what the gameplay is going to be. But basically, like I said, body horror. It looks like your body is like the weapon, and like as you use the weapon, it like degenerates or stuff, and then you get like upgrades and the environment is like a kind of
living
like a living bioorganic environment,
but made out of people.
Yeah,
like, there's like a lot like from what we can see view from like the beta or like the pre-release stuff. It's like people.
Yeah,
the ship is people.
And as you can see, it's very H.R. Geiger, people may recognize his at least influence from Alien. Like there was an H.R. Geiger work that they took to make the alien design. It looks
Well,
almost like it.
Correction, you ignorant slut. H.R. Geiger was actually brought on to design it.
Oh,
The
okay.
alien. So he obviously had something in mind, but he helped design the actual alien itself.
Right, but yeah, that's so heavily influences like bioorganic designs
Yeah.
from here on out. The last game I want to talk about coming out soon is called The Chance, which is very Lovecraftian looking. So what the premise looks like, it's a survival. I don't know if it's like a survival game, but like it's a story game. It's like you're following that main character, that woman. She's the main character through this story. It looks like the story is basically she shows up on this island and it's like a yoga retreat type thing, and
Never go to anywhere with yoga.
yeah, that's an oversimplification, but yoga retreat, very culty overtones, or like self-help retreat, and then you can see things obviously get more wild and insane from there, and they like summon something to the island that they shouldn't have, and there's like Lovecraftian monsters that come through. The monsters actually, from what I've seen, are kind of the least scary part of it. I don't know. They seem a little bit more Borderlandsy than
Well, to be fair, like even if I was in this situation, I feel like the monsters would be second compared to the people.
Yeah, well, that's
The
the thing.
people are the scariest.
While watching the trailer, like that's where I got all the anticipation build up, is watching like because they trickled out some of the story.
Yeah.
That's where I got most of the fear and anticipation from. And then when I actually saw them like fighting the monsters, I was like, they look kind of Borderlandsy. It doesn't look
Yeah, well, you never get past but even in the horror movies, seeing the monster in full is always like,
yeah,
the where things get the least scary.
right. Okay, so that's it for games, but there's something coming out that has been releasing this month that I want to talk to you about, Jarrett, because Jarrett, our viewers may know that Jared is something of he's a trollop for Lovecraftian.
I'm a little
horrors.
whore.
He's a lady of the evening for Lovecraftian.
My morals are loose and so is my skirt.
So but you may have noticed that Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities has been releasing this month. They all look great, but at least two of them are just straight up adaptations of Lovecraft stories.
This dude has been fighting for years, tooth and nail, to get a Mountains of Madness movie made. It was originally going to have Tom Cruise on board.
Right.
And that was like back in like 2008, 2009. So this is probably the closest we're going to be able to get to. Do we know what stories those two are?
Oh yeah, there's at least two. Yeah, there's at least two already. One, the second one released yesterday. So the first one that was released was Pickman's Model.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's starring Ben Barnes, who played Dorian Gray in I think 2018. I want to say. I don't think it was 2018 actually, but anyway, he played Dorian Gray, which I'm getting a very Dorian Gray-esque feel from this poster. I've never actually read Pickman's Model.
Phenomenal. I've with dyslexia, I don't really get into reading that much, and I don't really get a lot out of horror either, because the words don't always match up with what's supposed to happen. So I read Pickman's Model. It was my first real read into H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I've actually been scared.
Yeah.
He sets atmosphere up perfectly, and it's what he doesn't show you, which is the whole point. And it's a really good read. It's pretty short.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna recommend something to first timers, just go right into Shadow over Innsmouth.
But you're like giving the opposite advice of like, okay, yeah, start off easy. You're like, no, go with the most hardcore.
No, just
Cthulhu heavy, fish people.
Yeah.
Looking weirdo shit.
You sink, swim, or something drags you under to an unnameable, non-Euclidean city. Okay.
You sink, swim, or you become a fish person.
Exactly. He goes through I think Sarcastic Productions that said this is like they got up to some Shape of Water shenanigans.
Yep.
Down there, not in the romance.
Which is also a Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. By the way, you want to hear my my little conspiracy theory about the Shape of Water?
Sure.
So, Shadow over Innsmouth ends in about 1920-ish.
Yeah.
And this is the 1930s in the Shape of Water, 1930s, 1950s. I think the Fishman in Shape of Water is one of the captured Innsmouth people.
Oh yeah, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, like because after they destroy Innsmouth, they capture people and jail them, and some of them would become fish people. Captures one or two of them, and that's one of them.
Yeah,
And Abe Sapien is the other one.
Abe Sapien is from
The 1800s.
Yes, but he's got a different. He's actually got a backstory. I forget what it is though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
they eventually reveal his backstory. Anyway, the other one is Dreams in the Witch House. Now, oh, that's not it.
Wrong one. They're looking at Tom Hanks.
That one. There we go. That's the
Oh.
that's the 2022 one. Now, Dreams in the Witch House. I've seen a version of this. I have not read it, but from what I understand, is this was like kind of Lovecraft's almost like. So he wasn't having much success with like the Cthulhu weirdness. So he's like, I got to write something that's going to be a little bit more mainstream. Yeah.
So he was he did have a little bit of like success is tantamount because what he was writing for they were just basically like pulp newspaper stuff. So it wasn't making him a ton of money, and he kind of did shift over. But like, it's Lovecraftian. Nyarlathotep, the Man in Black.
I mean, yeah, yeah, he's in this, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it yet. Spoiler alert. At the end of it, like, oh, the witch is defeated with a cross, but like not with like holy power. He like strangles her with the cross with the
You freaking
necklace.
gangster.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what it was is kind of like that thing where it's not the cross that gives it has power. It's their faith in the cross.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like it was his faith in the chain of. It's kind of like his belief of a chain, like
Yeah.
the link between everything.
Yeah.
Between him and like actual reality that
Mhm.
actually choked her out, and then of course you have the rat
Brown Jenkins.
Brown Jenkins.
So okay, well, first of all, I'm going to say,
Mhm.
so let's face it, our dad is the one who got us into H.P. Lovecraft because back in the early days of Netflix, you could get some deep track shit that you just don't see anymore.
Also, like we were like 13 and below, and he's just like, yeah, I got a movie, and we're like watching, like we're like kids that we live like kind of in the woods area, so like when it gets dark, it gets dark.
Yeah, and it's in the woods. So like we're watching. Okay, so this is the version that I saw. This is like a mid 2000s.
Yeah.
I think it was made for TV, but it's like dark.
It is really dark.
And so like like
Tons of blood.
yeah. So like we're like what 10, 11, 12 years old, and our dad would be getting like the freaking gnarliest H.P. Lovecraftian movies. He's like, you want to watch this? And we'd be like, sure.
It's a Saturday night. Of course we're gonna watch this.
We're Saturday night. We don't have internet. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we so like obviously like this is probably one of the little mid scarring ones for me. Yeah. So
Yeah.
but anyway, but what this one like H.P. Lovecraft I think is best when it's low budget.
Yeah, because they work because they. It's kind of like the Jaws thing. Nothing's gonna look that good, so you don't show it that much.
Right.
That's the point.
And like the actors are always like not super well known, but they just always fit the roles so well.
Yeah.
And same with this Witch House. Now, I'd say probably like Jared said, the most disturbing part of this was they managed to get a live screen version of Brown Jenkins, who is the humanoid. That he's a rat with a human
Familiar.
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the familiar of the witch.
It's implied kind of that this is the witch's son.
I mean, yeah. So it's just like the description that I've always had for H.P. Lovecraft stories. They start off bad and they just get worse and worse and worse. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it drills into the ground and just keeps going.
It turns out it opens up to a chasm and then it releases the Balrog.
Yeah, exactly.
So because I read a lot of the H.P. Lovecraft because I started getting into it.
Mhm.
So I get to say this again. Jimmy, you ignorant slut. There are actually a couple of happy endings. Dungeon Witch Horror, I think, is a happy ending. Color Out of Space actually kind of ends on a kind of a more hopeful note, but
Does it? Because he's like, don't drink the water. Poison!
I will never drink the water from this dam that I'm going to help build and then not tell anybody any of this.
So, everyone died, and I'm not going to drink this water.
Everybody's in Boston is turning to dust. But in the story, spoiler alert for this, so go read it or watch it. So he kind of defeats the witch and Brown Jenkins and gets deafened by Nyarlathotep. And then he's like, I'm free. I'll be fine. And guess what happens? He gets sick. The people around him, that live around him, are taking care of him, trying to help him. And then guess what happens?
I don't know what.
Guess and just guess. Throw it out there.
I know what happens because I saw like this live action version of it, and it's super dark. But I don't want to like just blurt it out and like it be the
Just
right one.
steal my mojo.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us what happened.
He's like gets sent to a loony. I'm gonna leave out like the worst part because a really bad thing happens, and then he gets sent to the loony bin, and then people are like, geez, wow, he's crazy, and then they hear him screaming, and they open up the door, and freaking Brown Jenkins like ate his way out of him,
Exactly.
and like ran away.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. He's just in bed, and they're like, "Oh, this is weird," and then he just burrows out from inside of his chest, and then he bounds off.
Yeah.
And then they later on, later in the story, Brown Jenkins actually dies by a chimney falling on him or something, and they find his bones and send it to like a museum. So I thought of a really cool like live action version of this, where a museum like puts clay on his skeleton to see what he would look like, and he's the monster for the rest of the movie, but he's like claymation animated.
Yeah.
Instead,
Ray Harryhausen stuff.
yeah, like just to bring done really well, just to bring the uncanny valley to like a whole new level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's disturbing, and it just that just happens.
It just like I said, it starts off bad, and then by the time it ends, you're like, I can take no more of this, please.
Exactly, and then you're like, oh, we didn't win. All this happened, and nothing actually changed.
Ugh, yeah. So, okay, enough about Brown Jenkins. What about Downer?
Jeez Louise,
Okay,
Jimmy.
you want to? All right, there was stuff you wanted to talk about. What did you want to talk about?
Well, we have been watching some older horror movies.
Obviously, yeah.
Obviously, yeah. I was gonna do more H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but I kind of got on a Vincent Price kick, so I rewatched Haunted House on Haunted. It's a lot of H's.
Slow down.
The Haunted House on the Hill.
House on Haunted Hill.
Why is the hill haunted?
The name. I don't remember. There's also a movie called The Haunting of Hill House.
That might be that's like not like jumbling me up.
Two different movies.
Two very different movies, very different. But it's
The House
on Haunted Hill. But,
starring Vincent Price.
but like they make a very distinct point that the house itself is haunted and not the hill.
Right.
Like it's really weird. So it's this scared the shit out of me as a kid.
It's
like,
from 1959, by the way.
Yeah, 1959. Vincent Price obviously leads the cast, and Carol Omont is the follow-up actress, and it's just like it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Right. So this was a first of all, I understand why there's not a ton of old Lovecraft movies because, like I said, a lot of the shit that he has in there, they probably could not get past censors in like the 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah, no.
And secondly, House on Haunted Hill, what made that so scary?
For me, it was a lot of it was the sound effects that are off screen. You don't see a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. But what really got me is where the first part of the movie is the girl's in the room with the candle and not like goes down and the camera goes down and she's knocking on the wall and she gets up and the old lady's there. She's just like there like this.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just Roombas out. She like glides out and I'm just like, and it's pretty scary.
It's a little like in hindsight it's a little goofy, but when you're watching it, it gets you.
It does get you. It is not a very good movie after that, and the entire time I'm like, Vincent Price movies are garbage, and I love them.
So this movie, House on Haunted Hill, was one of several productions by a director/producer called William Castle.
Yep.
And his thing was he'd make these things like low-budget horror movies, but then he'd sell them with a gimmick of some kind.
So in this one, they had during a skeleton scene, they'd actually have a skeleton fly around certain theaters.
Yeah.
Which it's interesting, but God, how much money that would be.
$10. Get a kid with a stick, be like, hey, wave this skeleton around.
Yeah.
And then, so, like in some other movies you may know, at least 13 Ghosts. The original 13 Ghosts was William Castle. And in that movie, you'll find that he has, like, three like the in the movie the characters put on these like ghost goggles so they could see the ghosts, and it was a 3D movie from back in the day. So people would put on when the people put on the ghost goggles, people would put around the 3D glasses.
Well,
the ghosts would come on screen and it would be 3D.
It wasn't 3D. It was filmed in a way where if you put on the glasses, you would just be able to see the ghosts.
Okay.
That's it. Like, it wasn't like 3D, like it was popping out at you, like Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah.
The cinematic masterpiece that it was.
Yeah.
It was just that you could see the ghosts or not. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like the characters.
Yeah.
And then until I was rudely interrupted, there was also the Tingler.
Yes.
The Tingler was actually pretty scary. That gimmick was that they actually had sensors or something, like things on the chairs that'll like make it seem like something's tingling your back.
Right. So, and the Tingler, the movie was about like a bug or like a giant cockroach looking thing that would like latch onto your brain and like feed on your fear and it would like crawl around.
It was I think the story was that everyone has one. That's what makes you feel that fear tingle. But if you get too scared, like this one woman was, like over time, it'll just kill you. But it'll get too big and then it'll just go around and it'll just fucking murder people.
Yeah. So like the Tingler itself was like a bug.
Yeah.
He's crawling around, and when the bug was crawling around on the screen, they'd make like these like rattles or something on the chairs go, so people would like want to lift their feet up and stuff. So that was the gimmick of House on Haunted Hill was the skeleton flying around the theater.
Yeah. It's a pretty good. I think it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's a fun movie. It's pretty scary at some point, and then it just kind of ends.
Yep.
It literally is just like, these people died and we're done.
A lot of movies at that time were like that. Like stuff would happen and then just be done.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even like nowadays, like, let's, like they kill Thanos and then there's like a good like 15 minutes of like epilogue afterwards.
Yeah.
With these types of movies, like even big budget ones, they would kill Thanos and then roll credits.
And then bounce. Yeah. And it was really weird. Like they set up like, oh, this house is like actually haunted and people are dying and there's like 7 ghosts of people that were killed and like they don't really do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like at all. And like it's heavily implied that there are genuine ghosts there that are trying to kill people and then they're just like
it's like left up to the viewer whether the ghosts are real at the end, I think, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It's just really weird. And like they went really hard in the first part and then fucking bouncing.
Yeah.
And then Vincent Price like, yep, killed 2 people in acid. We're gonna bounce.
Well, he was like, I'm rich. You can't prove it. See ya.
Well, no, he was like, what happened was when I was watching it, he kills his wife and her lover, and he's like, yeah, they would have killed me. I don't have any proof, but I'm pretty sure I'll get off scot-free. And like these people are just standing there like, okay.
That'd be a chilling way to end a movie, though.
Yeah, just like this guy just murdered 2 people in a vat of fucking acid, and we just saw it. And what are we gonna do about it?
Right.
And he's paying them to
right.
be there too.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that could be done really well.
Like he's not even like, I'll get off. Like he's just like, yeah, I'll probably get off. I might. People will be fine with it.
I might not. We'll see what happens.
I'll buy Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll buy Twitter and I'll get off scot-free.
I'll buy Twitter after they make me buy Twitter. After I said I would buy Twitter. Then I'm not going to buy Twitter. But they'll make me buy Twitter.
Then I'll buy it. And then I'll do like the worst dad joke ever. Let that sink in. Dickhead. Sorry. Anyway, what did you watch?
Jeez, I haven't really... Okay. I've been watching as many Draculas as I can this month.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, let's go with the oldest one I've got in here. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Okay, the oldest one on this list is going to be Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So, it's an Abbott and Costello movie. It's modern audiences are probably not going to be like super thrilled by it. Obviously when we were kids, we thought these was peak comedy.
Yeah. Well, we also when we were young, we got this box set of Abbott and Costello and Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Just comedy bits that they tossed together to sell. And
yeah,
that's what we would watch.
It's like everything that was in public domain, they like threw it in these yeah. But this was a couple of things are interesting about this one. So it's first of all, it's got Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman, which is always cool. And this was the only other time that Bela Lugosi played Dracula.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people associate with him with Dracula. He only played it twice. He played a vampire a couple other times, but eventually he got typecast as the vampire. He didn't really like it.
Well, he got typecast as a vampire they weren't vampires. They're just like German people.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, I'd say, as a movie, it's not super duper scary. I watched it with my wife, and like with the part where Costello's like in the warehouse, and like Dracula is like slowly coming out of the coffin. Like it's pretty eerie. Like so, she got scared by that one.
Yeah.
But the other thing, what's another thing? There's not like none of their major comedy bits are in this.
Really?
There are a few like funny moments where like, so one of the premises is that like this, for some reason, this beautiful woman is like really interested in Costello, the short fat one. They don't know why, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He falls over. Pratt falls. She's like, "I'm sorry, you hurt." He just sort of like rolls over, like hides his face out of shame. He's like, yeah. So there are a few good points in that.
And then their last one where they meet somebody is where they meet the mummy.
Yes.
Which is like the worst one.
Yeah, and then so I'm trying to think. Like there were a few cool parts where like Frankenstein is engulfed in flames and then falls into a lake on a dock. That was pretty intense for the time. Frankenstein literally like picks a woman up and throws her through a window. Let's see here. Dracula actually legitimately fights the Wolfman. Bela Lugosi is actually pretty good in this. Like you see a little bit more of Dracula's character come through. So I 10 out of 10 every time I see Bela Lugosi.
I feel like they should do something like this again, where it's just kind of like, what was Dracula's whole plan?
He wanted, well, he had come into possession of the creature, and like this is interesting. So like Frankenstein was in a weakened state, but he called Dracula master. He would actually speak and say like, "Yes, master." So I think that he wanted to replace, put Costello's brain into Frankenstein's body so that he could still like live and keep going, but he'd be dumb enough that Dracula could control him easily.
But why?
So that he could have a super strong henchman to like do his bidding.
That he would need to charge like an iPhone.
For like a 1940s, this was 1950 something? No.
Well,
yeah, for this movie, it's actually not bad.
What I did like is that the Wolfman was trying to fight against Bela Lugosi. Like somehow he knew, but like he was still a danger to everybody around him because he was still the Wolfman. But like it wasn't like this whole thing where they all get together and they're all fine. No, the Wolfman's out for doing his own thing.
Yeah,
like he's trying to like end curses and stuff.
Yeah, and then like as the Wolfman, he just attacks whatever's near him. So yeah, he's like the Hulk or Mr. Hyde. No, like more like the Hulk. Anyway, so that's the old one that I watched.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch that again. I rewatched the Abbott and Costello movie where they're on the boat. Because they have the Who's on First.
Yeah, that's the only place you can find. Like the Who's on First routine is their most famous routine, but you can't find that on YouTube.
No,
it's only on that movie, and they don't really release a ton of prints of that.
No, there's a reason why. It's pretty racist.
Okay, yeah,
it's pretty racist.
Then let's skip over that one.
Yeah,
I'm not getting canceled for 6 to 7 years.
No, it's just that when I try to rewatch certain things like Abbott and Costello, it's pretty hard to like see that because like I grew up with them and their comedy routines, and then I saw that and I was like, So I might give that a skip, but it's kind of sucks because I really wanted to relive that.
Yeah. So
but what else?
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna do all these Draculas rapid fire. Okay?
Oh my god!
All right, so we've got. Okay, I'm gonna finish these up in 10 minutes. Okay, one of the ones I watched was Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, is what it's called.
Did you like that one?
I did. So basically, this one, in my opinion, is probably the closest to the original. Like the novel, like it hits all the major plot points from the novel. It's kind of like they make Dracula look kind of like weird and like animal-like almost when they first meet him. I'm trying to think here. So Francis Ford Coppola basically tried to make it kind of almost like a sexy fever dream.
Yeah, it's very artsy. I didn't like it. I thought his armor at the beginning, where it's basically like skin.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's like the Bolton's armor.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I thought that was an interesting choice, but then it was just like everything was really on the nose.
Yeah,
you know?
it was almost Tim Burton-y.
Yeah.
So one thing I did kind of like is that they obviously played up like the sexual elements of the Dracula story, but they gave Mina and Lucy a little bit more character. Yeah, they definitely gave them more character. Like Mina's not just like a damsel in distress. Like she's kind of an active player in this a little bit more, and she actually has a relationship with Dracula. It's not just like he's imposing on her. Like she's actually feels something there. Which I thought was interesting, and you kind of like in this one I saw a lot more. You get the idea that like it's like in the novels, like a lot of other Draculas, the men are there just to save they save the day and bring order back. But in this one, you could kind of got the idea that like it's kind of their neglect and their egos that lead to this thing.
Yeah.
Because like while Lucy, the first victim of Dracula, is like laying sick on their bed, you see like the guys are like out riding, and like Dr. Seward is like not that great of a doctor. And he's like addicted to morphine and stuff. So you can see like you see like the men are obviously a little bit selfish here.
Well, even like in the book, like Dracula, Dr. Helsing is like constantly giving Mina blood transfusions and shit, and he's like, I probably know what this is.
Yeah.
And like, but of course, with our 21st century knowledge of vampires, you're just screaming at him, "Oh my God, it's a vampire!"
I know. Well, I liked in this Anthony Hopkins plays Dr. Van Helsing. And I liked how he's like kind of unhinged, and so he's like it's definitely a vampire, but like people aren't believing him. But he's like almost got kind of like that brilliant, but like a little bit too blunt delivery.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we have to cut her head off and put a stake through her heart, and people were like, my fiance just died. Will you like not do this
Kinda
right
like,
now?
Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, which I will get to.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked about this one was the Dracula Bat Monster, because this went full bore into like the Dracula's transformations in his different forms.
Yeah, but he can transform into like wolves and bats.
Yeah.
And fog.
Yeah, this one really went over the like you don't see that a lot, because in the novel he has tons of different forms and he alternates between them, and there's like some ambiguous forms. This one kind of showed that.
Yeah. One thing I really I really thought was gonna happen was it was gonna where they go back to like the Romanian countryside. I would like to see like what happens when Dracula's not there to keep his wives in check. Like they're just like going out and like destroying villages, like draining everybody that they can find, kind of thing.
Right.
I kind of would have want to see that, just to see like, okay, Dracula's bad, but he was kind of keeping these animals in check, and if he's kind of that's what's going to happen in London, just going to start doing things like that.
Or maybe like that was part of his plan. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna go start taking over the world in London. You all go nuts here on the home front.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Have fun.
Yeah, here, have fun, girls. So, one second, I'm just gonna get this guy's name correctly because I have to talk about this guy.
Okay.
He is played by Richard Roxburgh, and it is, I don't know if you remember the movie Van Helsing.
You mean like what basically shaped part of our childhood?
Yeah. So this was the Dark Universe before the Dark Universe took off.
Yeah. Actually, it did the Dark Universe better because it basically shoved everything in there that they wanted.
I'd still rather watch League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but garbage movie, terrible, like clunkiest dialogue ever.
It is terrible, but it is fun. It is a fun movie.
It's like it really is a turn your brain off movie. Like Dracula's wife being like, you go when I can say you can go, and you can go when you're dead. Who wrote this?
Okay.
But it's still a Dracula movie, and I really enjoyed this Dracula because Richard Roxburgh like chews the scenery every single time he's on camera. He's just like the most like over the top Dracula there is, and he's not even sinister in a way. He's just like, I mean he's a little scary sometimes, but like
he's more like charismatic.
Yeah, he's a little bit too much of a mustache twirling villain for me sometimes, but like I don't know, I just enjoy watching him on screen. He just took Dracula and was like, I'm just gonna do the most with this role.
Nobody's gonna like this movie, but they're gonna love this movie.
Right.
You
and
know?
like he's like most Draculas we see, he's either monstrous or like the dignified aristocratic count. And in this one, he's just like, I'm gonna be so over the top, like the villain of the movie. It's great.
I did kind of like how Van Helsing is the story that Van Helsing was gonna tell about the titular character of Van Helsing was gonna be interesting. I thought it was gonna be kind of cool. Like he's supposed to be like the fallen angel Gabriel, I think. So that's why. So that's why he's so good at everything. It was kind of interesting. I liked it. I would have liked if he would turn into a werewolf. He was like more distinct. Like, oh, this isn't just like a regular dude
Yeah,
turning
exactly.
into a werewolf. You know.
Yeah, I
But-
mean he was a little bit more intense as a werewolf. But that's yeah, not so much. Next, you mentioned it before. We have Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Just an absolute awesome movie.
Like Leslie Nielsen as Dracula is surprisingly pretty good.
He so just so you guys know, Creepshow #1, the first Creepshow, I watched that movie because Leslie Nielsen's in it, and I thought it was going to be a comedy because I've only seen him in comedies. He is a really good like horror actor.
Yeah, he he started off like with serious roles because he has great like deadpan. Like that's what made him funny in Airplane is he can deliver like very serious deadpan lines
Exactly.
without laughing.
Exactly. Excuse me, are you a doctor? Yes, I am.
So I want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Calm down. Yeah. So when he it is obviously a very comedic movie, but it's kind of like one of those things where he's in this comedic role, but you could definitely see that if he wanted to, he could make it really serious.
Yeah.
Like a tonal shift, like a complete 180. It could.
Yeah, like there are parts like so after they like have a dance routine in front of a mirror where Dracula's like swinging the lady around and like
Yeah.
but he's invisible and he like realizes he's been caught. He's like, he delivers the line like, "You're a wise man, Van Helsing, for one who's yet to live a single human life."
Yeah.
And like you can like it's like, okay, Leslie Nielsen like as a villainous Dracula is pretty intense.
And he has that voice that's kind of like, oh, I could, that's, very charming, very calm, but like rumbles, and you can tell that it's, he could have some danger
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, I'd say if we hadn't spent like the past like our entire lives seeing him in only comedic roles, then I think he would have made a fantastic villain or a fantastic Dracula.
Yeah, that's what he was in Creepshow, and it was very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
So my favorite part of this movie though is
Yeah.
Peter McNichol as Renfield. He's so freaking good.
So he is our generation's most underrated actor. In this role, he is definitely the funniest. In with a ton of other really good actors and comedic actors, including Mel Brooks himself.
Yeah, Mel Brooks as Van Helsing is surprisingly good, but like just like if you've heard like you've seen him in like Ghostbusters or Veep, you know that Peter McNichol has like that tone of voice and that yell.
Fuck out,
Yeah.
Jonah.
And he's just like that. That's him the entire time through this movie, where he's like at the breakfast table trying not to like eat bugs and stuff and trying to act normal. It's like, come here, little fellow, I really want your life. And when they're like, he'll lead us back to Dracula, so the orderly like is like, you've been let out for good behavior, and like, watch your step. He just throws him off the top of the stairs. He's a really good physical actor too.
Yeah.
So
But honestly, if you haven't seen him in Dracula Dead and Loving It,
yeah.
watch Veep first and see where that comes from. It's
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so Dracula Dead and Loving It, as far as a Mel Brooks movie, it's definitely not as transgressive or like has the comedic genius as some of his other movies, but it's definitely I watch it all the time. It's more of an easy watch if you're a Mel Brooks fan.
It's a very easy watch, but I feel like it has a lot of laughs. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the thing they put on the VHS.
Mhm.
Lots of laughs, says man from New York Times.
Yeah,
But it's really funny.
And having watched all these Dracula movies this year, I can now see like all the points where all the things that they're making fun of in all these Dracula movies.
Yeah.
Like when you first see him in his castle, he's got like this really high hair from Francis Ford Coppola's, and then he like takes it off like a helmet.
Puts it back.
Yeah. All right. Next one. I'm not gonna talk too much about this, but Monster Squad. I remember seen this.
Oh.
So this is again a Monster Mash movie, and it's like Goonies meets Dark Universe.
Yeah.
And
Again, a better version of Dark Universe.
yeah, and Dracula is the main bad guy. The the guy who played it is just like a producer. Like he doesn't have any other acting credits to his role.
Yeah.
So
He
but
did a good job.
so I'm not going to talk too much about this because this wasn't like this for me. But apparently this was like a lot of people's like adolescent awakening movie. Like
With sexy Dracula.
no, not
Oh.
not sexual awakening. Like when they like the people will talk, like a lot of Gen Xers will talk
Yeah.
about this. They're like they watched this movie and it was like the first, like this is the first movie I got to watch as a kid where it was like a little edgy and dangerous and like it felt like something we weren't supposed to be watching.
It was
Not that
PG.
yeah, not that it's a bad movie or anything, but like if you're a kid who's like 8 to 10 years old and like this is the first time you're seeing a movie like this, it's like you
It's
know
honestly really good. It's not just like a Goonies ripoff. It's a different kind of movie.
yeah, I really like their Gilman design in
Was
this
very
one.
good.
Yeah,
But when we're talking about Dracula, in this movie in particular, he murks a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is not
yeah, he is in every sense of the term a straight up monster in this. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and moving on. Okay, so just as a little side note, in the future you might see Dracula in the MCU because there is a Dracula. He's canonically a Marvel character in the comics. He's Blade's arch enemy.
And he owes Moon Knight money.
Okay, that's not canon. That's a fan, but like let's face it, it's canon at this point.
It's a canon. If they could just shoe that in, like Blade is fighting Dracula. He like it's this horrible thing, and then at the end of every movie, he gets Dracula, somebody that not even Blade can find, somehow gets a call from Moon Knight, like, "Where's my money? I loaned you £50
Yes.
for that box office set," and he looks over and it's like the Blade box office set from Leslie Snipes
Yeah.
box office
Oh,
set of Blade is like, "You're never." Well, I'll get it to you tomorrow. Like if they just go with it.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things from a Marvel, like a panel from a comic, was basically Dracula is king of the vampires and he was trying to like form an alliance with Doctor Doom, and they're meeting on the moon of all places. So and Dracula was like, Doom's like, what do I get from you? And he's like, my state will serve as a buffer to Islam. And Doctor Doom's like, spare me your racism. It's unscientific. Like it's adorable, basically. So I was like, yeah, freaking tell him, Doctor Doom. Last one, I swear to God, I'll power through this.
God.
The show Penny Dreadful.
Yeah.
Again, brings together all the monsters and stuff. Fantastic show. Holy shit, this was such a
Put
good
to bed
show.
too early.
Yeah, and well, that's what I want to talk about. Spoiler alerts for anyone who hasn't watched this. Definitely go and watch it. Dracula is the overarching villain of mostly the first season and third season, and he's like mentioned in the second season. So, and then like the third season is like the grand finale season. Like people were not expecting it, and even I wasn't expecting it. Like I started watching the final episode. I was like, wait, is this the final episode? Is this it? Let's see here. I'm not seeing the actor. Anyway,
Just go to the website and it'll tell you. It'll tell you who's it's betrayed by.
anyway, so in this one, blah blah blah, the dragon Amon-Ra, portrayed by Christian Camargo.
Camargo.
Okay, so anyway, in this one, he basically pretends to be a human, and then it turns out he's Dracula in the final season. Now, this was the Dracula I'm most disappointed by, because for 2 seasons, it's building up, like, what is Dracula? Where is Dracula? He's the reason all this bad stuff is happening. And then he's just a human in human form the whole time, and he's not super scary, and he just is kind of there to drive the plot forward.
Not even like a character they've been interacting with this whole time that,
No, it's a character they introduced in the final season. And like, not to say this actor does a bad job, but they just didn't take it in an interesting direction. I feel like they, much like Game of Thrones, but definitely not dropping the ball as bad as Game of Thrones. They rushed this third season and kind of like, we're like, okay, we're putting a pin in this. We're moving on to other things. And they just kind of, they didn't take, so it was, one of my favorite shows. There was 3 seasons of build up, and then, it was just kind of disappointing.
Damn.
Anyway, so Jarrett, what do you got?
So now we just gotta go back into kids' movies that went too goddamn hard. Ugh.
Start us off with something.
I gotta start us off with something good.
Okay.
Page Masters, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Oh.
So Jared, you know that Mr. Hyde's my favorite monster.
No.
Yeah. So
Oh, he's a monster, or is he just a dude?
no, he's like both. Like, is Michael Myers a monster or just a dude?
Yeah, I mean those. What? Well, those movies are monsters.
I'd say in our modern minds he is a monster.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the monster. He's like the monster within. But anyway, you and I watched Pays Master millions of times
Lots of times.
because of the dragon.
Mainly because of the dragon.
Yes. So we watched this millions of times. I had to breathe through a fucking paper bag every time I watched this scene though to get to that dragon.
Leonard Nimoy plays Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it's not even that Mr. Hyde is really scary. It's the transition because he's like
Yeah.
away and like look at him, and then they show him, but he's got his hands up. It really just showcases that this is a person, but it's not.
Yeah, and then like so one thing I kind of got like in hindsight. So he's the Dr. Jekyll character. He's very genteel, and he's like semi helping the Kevin McAllister character. He's like kind of friendly, and then he turns into Mr. Hyde, and then like in my kid's mind, it was like oh my god, there's like all of a sudden it just went from someone you trusted and someone who seemed nice to like a very real danger, and there's nothing in between you and that person.
And then he falls through a hole in the floor, and he dies. You see him like he falls.
Yeah.
And he's like dragging Horror down with him.
Yeah.
Horror's another book.
Yeah, he's a book. Very
Okay.
very sweet character.
Yeah. And then this is after the Kraken scene from 2000 Leagues Under when the Kraken comes after him.
And the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Oh my god, yes, that one too. And then they go into the whole Moby Dick scene too.
Yeah.
That is pretty just horror everywhere.
Where did my thalassophobia originate from? That scene right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when he's covering his face and like, Dr. Jekyll, are you okay? He's like, my name is Mr. Hyde,
Mr. Hyde.
and he like reveals it like, I still can't. No, thank you. What's another one?
Another one. Well, we gotta go with the OG, the real OG scary movie, Scooby Doo Zombie Island.
Everyone I talk to is like, this wasn't scary,
First of all, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
right? Like, I don't.
The cat people alone.
Yeah, the cat people alone. Fred pulls a head off of a zombie.
Yeah.
Which
Well-
should have killed it. Again.
Well, it's not really. Well, the thing is, it's not really our traditional zombie where destroy the head, destroy the head,
Move the head or destroy the brain. Yeah.
destroy the brain. But there are people there are still conscious people in those bodies that have been drained of their life force. They're
Yeah.
not like traditional zombies. They're undead.
Yeah.
But they're just there. And what really stuck in my mind was after I saw it, I was like, oh, these are not like monsters. They're trying to help.
Yeah.
They're trying to help the Scooby Gang, and they can't do anything because they're just like these husks.
Right. And like there are scenes that they set up, like Shaggy and Scooby get chased away, and so the rest of the gang is like looking for them, and they find the mystery machine and it's empty. And they set up these scenes so well for to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then why are people saying that it's not scary?
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's horror. It's a genuine horror movie. And also you really get the sense at the beginning where they're getting chased by like the guy dressed up as a fish monster that Fred is in pain when he gets slashed on the back. Like that sets this tone. Like,
Yeah.
this is real. And then they went throughout their entire lives finding fake ass monsters, and they find a real monster
Yeah.
within the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a genre shift.
Oh, jeez, yeah. They found themselves in the red shirt Shaggy universe.
Exactly. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else you got?
Well, we can always go to, let's see here. Oh, Goosebumps.
Yeah, I picked that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, Goosebumps, as all us millennials might remember, had a live action TV show on, I think it was Nickelodeon, where they basically just adapted R.L. Stein's books to the screen, and it was horrifying.
Some of them were really campy and bad,
Yeah.
but some of them really stuck.
Like, okay, speaking of stuck, like the one where the mask one.
Ooh, that is probably the scariest one. It kind of there's this Japanese movie, where it's kind of the same concept where these two people get Oni masks stuck to their face, and it's kind of the same thing. And honestly, I think Goosebumps did it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit more concise, and it's weird to see it happen to a child. Too.
Yeah, and then like you know, she puts on the mask and it's scary, and then she's like tries to take it off. They're like, I can't find the seam, and she's like looking like, and she's like she can't find the end of it. Like it's yeah. So, why though?
It's also interesting that they could have, obviously animated it too.
Yeah.
The mask, but they didn't.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That it's a mask.
It's prosthetics.
It's prosthetics, and that they keep it that way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's more uncanny than anything else.
Yeah. Speaking of prosthetics, another episode that scared the shit out of me was the Werewolf of Fever Swamp.
Ooh.
So like there are scenes where like the werewolf is chasing the characters and it's like trying to dig to get in and stuff, and it's all practical effects prosthetics with this werewolf. Not the best prosthetics ever I've seen, but they shoot it mostly in low light, so it's terrifying.
Nope.
And then of course there's the face of Goosebumps himself, Slappy, who I think I read somewhere like he's based like after like an actual narcissistic personality.
Really?
Maybe I'm just projecting that. I don't know if I read that actually, but basically he comes in like whoever he, the family that activates him. Basically, he starts like trying to like take over and control them. So like he's the dummy, but he's exerting control over everybody.
Yeah.
So like that
he's
to me,
the master puppeteer.
Exactly. That to me translates to like a narcissistic relationship type person. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job. Go. Goosebumps.
Right.
Wow.
All right. What else you got?
Well, this year I am rewatching Over the Garden Wall.
Oh yeah.
It's not that spooky or scary, but the thing is, it really gets to like what I love about fall. That feeling.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Yeah, it does have some really spooky stuff.
Yeah, it's like cottagecore meets
Harvest Time.
Harvest Time.
It's on Hulu. Give it a watch. Each episode is really short. It's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's short. It's good though. It's phenomenal.
I got that picture. Actually, I didn't get it. Okay, no, good, because I didn't want to show the pic. Yeah. So that's.
But they show the Beast, but they don't show him, and it's a great scene.
What's that Beast line that I was like, oh no.
What?
He's like, leave those kids alone. He's like, hold on a second. What is it? Blah blah blah. It should be around here somewhere. Let's see here. Here we go. No, okay. I'll find it. But what do you love about this?
What I love about it is that it's that vibe. It allows certain scenes to breathe, and it feels like a genuine. Well, I think Halloween is. It's not grotesque. It's not really horror. It is scary, but it's more just, just kind of more of a cozy time, but outside is cold,
Right.
As things are kind of dying. But I love it. It's a great vibe.
No. He's like, someone says, there's only hope. He says, no, there's only me. There's only my way. There's only the forest, and there's only surrender.
Oof.
Yeah. And then Enoch saying, oh well, you'll join us one day.
Yeah, Enoch. What is that from? Enoch is a thing.
Yeah, it's
It's a biblical thing, right?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Let's book it or like the Book of Enoch. No, Enochian. Book of Enoch is like a biblical figure.
He was a patriarch prior to Noah's flood, and the son of Jared, and the father of.
We're not. This isn't a theology class. What are we talking about? But anyway.
Yeah. But great.
Yes. Anything else? Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
All right. I think I've got one more.
Okay.
Super classic.
We've gushed about this many times.
Oh, when the spooks have a midnight jamboree.
I can never find that song. Like.
Yeah, they don't have a They don't have like a recording of the original like readily available, and there's not really any good covers. Like there's a Thurl Ravenscroft one.
Yeah.
I think they must have made it for like Disney parks.
But I want to listen to good old Bing sing about it though.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was another one. This one, I don't know why we kept watching this as a kid. Like it's just scared the living shit out of me.
Well, yeah, it's good. It's
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably one of the best works of animation ever put out by Disney.
The Cape alone is better animated than some movies.
Yes, and this Disney version, this version of Legend of Sleepy Hollow, is probably one of the most faithful adaptations there is out there.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of there's goofy parts and it's like Disney and stuff, but that keeps it entertaining. First of all,
Yeah.
Like when Brahm's trying to like get him through like the half door and he walks out the bottom. Yeah. So yeah, but like the part where he's actually walking through the haunted forest, first of all, is a masterclass in the buildup of tension, and then the release of tension when he's like laughing at the thing, and then the realization of danger with the headless horseman.
And then what I really like is they really sell the point. I think even better than the book, that when he crosses the bridge, he is not safe.
Yeah.
And that safety is just thrown out the window when he gets hit by the pumpkin.
Yeah.
And the story's like, yeah, maybe he went off and had some kids and a loving wife, or he's just fucking gone.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that like the Legend of Sleepy Hollow scared the shit out of me for years and years and years because I thought, oh, it's a story about it's a ghost story, but only as like an adult reading Cliff Notes, I was like, oh, it's actually a story, like a commentary about like country versus city / civilization.
Yeah.
And like a commentary. Okay, so it's a political cartoon basically.
Yeah, it is.
And that took kind of the scariness out of it, but it lives in our collective memory more as a ghost story than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even Brom Bones isn't like, this thing about like, oh, country's just like, this nice upheaval, everyone's quaint. Brom Bones is kind of a prick.
Well,
and Katrina's leading Ichabod Crane on too.
Yeah. Well, they actually in this version and in the book they're like, yeah, he's a prankster, he's a a jokester, but he's never mean or like ill-spirited about it. And like, so basically I think the commentary was like contrasting like the civilized, like modern city intelligence of Ichabod Crane, which he's intelligent but he can't really do anything, versus the country like more like witty intelligence of Brom Bones, who's not as smart or as classy as Ichabod Crane, but he's a lot more capable and he's a lot more like, I don't know, rustically.
Rustic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, like, people think there's a thing that Brom Bones is just pretending to be the Headless Horseman to scare him away. I don't think so. Because Katrina already broke up with and made her intentions clear with Ichabod Crane.
Right.
Like, that was already clear from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I think that's the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
But he came about because Ichabod Crane would be the one to believe in him.
Yeah, that's a good take on it.
Yeah.
Like the only one, even though people of Sleepy Hollow live there and have those stories, the only one that would possibly believe something like that and read into it is someone from the city who has the intelligence but not like the wit or the experience.
Which is actually, I think, is kind of interesting because now that Ichabod Crane is there and believes in that, he inadvertently has brought back this evil spirit.
It's a tulpa.
Yeah, exactly. So even though maybe the spirit has not been around for a long time or been there or disturbing the local people, but now that somebody's there believing in it, it's come back.
Yeah, the Headless Horseman is not the only Hessian ghost that's supposed to haunt the areas around New York State in that area.
Really?
Yeah, so check us out on These Haunted Trails, and I will be doing a hike around there sometime soon.
Haunted Trails?
Like zoinks!
Well, who was going to go with you?
The Scooby Gang?
Not me.
Yep.
Not me.
Wait, all right, let's try that again. Who's gonna go? Give me the line. Give me the line, quick.
Wait, who was going to go with you, though? Not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you. I said, you're going to die tomorrow. Me? Also, 305 on YouTube. Really good movie.
That movie was made for with $10 and just ripped off both 300 and The Office, but it's surprisingly better than it absolutely should be.
Leonidas looks right at me and says, "You guard that ghost path, or I'm gonna cut out your heart." He's like holding, and the entire time he's like, throughout the entire movie, he's holding the same cup.
Well, that's kind of funny because it was like during the time that was made, like The Office was like the peak TV show, and 300 was like the peak movie that everyone's talking about.
Oh yeah.
So okay, well, enough about that. We ended up on a literature analysis. Let's end on a good note. Okay, anything else you want to talk about real quick?
Well, first of all, I want to say, of course, coming up on Halloween, everyone be safe. Driving, especially people do, unfortunately do drink a little bit too much and go out. So please be safe and drink responsibly and be responsible.
And be sure and check your kids' candy. People might be putting Kit Kats in there that definitely shouldn't go to kids because they don't appreciate Kit Kats like we adults do.
No, they don't.
Tastes like nostalgia.
I opened up my Reese's cup and it had literature on Marxism. Oh no!
Oh no! I opened up my Kit Kat and it had SpongeBob SquarePants radicalizing me with Mr. Krusty Krab is unfair. Mr. Krabs is in there.
I opened up my Skittles and there was a gun and inside it was critical race theory. Oh no! It's like a gun hollowed out, but it's got books inside of it.
Oh, that'd be a better meme. It's like, be sure and check your kids' firearms this Halloween. There might be critical race theory inside.
I got my kid went to the gun store and found one that was hollowed out, and look what it has. The 16, 19 projects in it. No!
No, I guess we did get political at the end of this. That's okay.
We unfortunately we do. Art is intentionally political, but we are also fun here. We have fun.
Yeah, we have fun. We have fun.
We have fun.
We joke. We kid around.
We have fun. And of course, check out Big Nerd Coffee Company. They have the best coffee to keep you warm. And of course, as the chills come in, get your thrills and caffeine with some Big Nerd Coffee Company. I should write a jingle, but I don't know music.
Big Nerd Coffee Company. It's coffee. That is a company called Big Nerd.
And it's good.
Yeah.
Do. All right, well,
thank you
that
guys.
was a terrible way to end the show.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We can't wait to see you again. We'll be back next month with, we'll see what comes out and what's, I'm sure we got plenty more video game news, movie news, and television.
And of course, we're not going to do a theme next month because we're not going to do like a Thanksgiving theme. That'd be terrible.
Thanksgiving.
That's the one.
that,
One. Thanksgiving. The kills keep on giving. But yes, well, thank you so much for joining us this week. We will be back next week. And of course, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to go over, comment or subscribe and let us know. Put your question into the comments or on the messages on Instagram or Facebook with your question, comment, preferred pronouns in your name, and we'll answer it live on air.
Yes, we'll do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Jimmy.
And this has been Jared.
All right, I'm going to delete all